And we're back for some more Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age Struggle for Freedom. Now we're going to be on our way to the Henne Mines to chase after one of the Veirra that went missing straight away from the woods. There is a trick you can do, well, not so much a trick, but more of a neat little thing you can do. If you didn't rent out the Chocobo back in Veirra, back there, there's another way you can rent a Chocobo without having to pay for it. If you give this Imperial here just a simple potion, that's all you really need, he'll let you borrow his Chocobo. free of charge, of course, so that's pretty good. Alright, now, as in traditional Final Fantasy, Chocobos obviously can help you avoid all random encounters, so you don't have to fight any of them. And in some cases, you can actually find secret passages. Well, actually, it's not so secret. If you take a look at the Chocobo footmarks there, that indicates that only Chocobos, I guess, can travel through one set path to another. I'm decided to show off the other way for you guys, just in case you decided to travel from Veirra. This is where you would be traveling from, right here. So if you ever rent a Chocobo, you want to get a shortcut to the Henne Mines. That's the pathway you would take. Pretty much other than that, there's not much else to see here in the Osmos Plains.
Researchers from the Draclaw laboratory. What were they doing here?
Research.
Alright, also one thing to know about the Chocobo, as you can see right there, there's a time limit. So you can't just roam around with it forever, unfortunately. Once the timer runs out, then you would have to force yourself off the Chocobo, because I guess, even after riding it for a few minutes, the Chocobo gets uncomfortable with you. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what the logic is behind that, considering that, in previous Final Fantasy games, you could just ride the Chocobo for as long as you need to, and then once you dismount, the Chocobo runs back into his pen. I guess you just want to shorten the limit for you. I don't know. That's one gameplay decision that I'm not exactly a fan of, because if you're trying to explore something for the first time with the Chocobo, you kind of want to be able to take your time and explore everything without having to worry about random encounters as much. That's just how I feel about it. Anyways, this is a Henne Mines. It first starts off with just bats, but there are definitely more enemies to be aware of. There's also a second half of this dungeon that you're not gonna be able to get to for a long while. That is because there are a few side quests you need to complete in order to have one of the citizens of Veirra unlock the second half for you. That second half contains much harder enemies to kill, mostly undead or dark-based enemies. The likes of which can inflict nasty status effects on you, and I mean lots of nasty status effects. So bring any holy weapons, like Excalibur, for example, or even a holy spell. They also like to, particularly, or am I thinking of a different dungeon? I can't quite remember. But they like to inflict one of the nasty status effects in the game called Disease. What that does is, not only does healing hurt you, but it also decreases your maximum HP while you're at it, so you can never get healed in any way, shape, or form. And it continues to do so until you're down to 1 HP, unless you're able to cure it with a serum. In that case, you would need to bring a hell of a lot of serums with you, or if you get lucky and have a couple units with ribbon, that knows the spell Cleanse, which gets rid of disease. Disease can be a real pain in the ass to deal with for sure if you're not prepared. The second half of Henne Mines also contains, or at least it did in the original PS4 version of Zodiac Age anyways, there's a 1% chance that you can get one of the strongest weapons in the game, the Zodiac Spear. The Zodiac Spear, like I said, has the highest base damage output for a pull-on weapon. So it's a really good endgame weapon if you're willing to go for it. Another way you can do it to obtain this weapon is if you participate in the Hunter games. That won't be until you come across Pharaoh's Island, but once you get to the Hunter games, then you can trade in prizes for it. But you won't be able to get everything that the Hunter games has to offer. I'll show that off in due time. But yeah, more about the second half of this dungeon here. As I'm sure I'll probably bring up again, it has probably the hardest Esper encounter in the game, Zodiark. What makes him very hard is that he uses Darkja, which inflicts every status effect in the book, including death. So you can even have Ribbon, and you still have a chance to die. That's how hard it is. But we'll get into the best strategy to go up against it, and even the best strategy isn't the guaranteed auto-win strategy at all. But there's some but I'll show it off when we get there. Again, it's not going to be for a very, very long while because in a game like this, I mean, the same rules apply to any other RPG. There's a lot to do. I mean, I guess, technically speaking, the shortest RPG game to be played would be Final Fantasy Mystic Quest because the game's incredibly short and I mean, once you gather everything, which isn't really hard to do, then you can just beat the game pretty easily. I mean, then again, it's a very basic elementary RPG, and that was because at the time we didn't get. Well, we got Final Fantasy 1 and NES in America. We got Final Fantasy 4 for the Super Nintendo, which was labeled Final Fantasy 2 for the Super Nintendo. I know localization issues and whatnot. We never got Final Fantasy 2 or 3 for the NES. Like, just going by the timeline, we got 4, but that was labeled 2 for the Super Nintendo. We never got 5, which actually, funny story behind that is 5 never got released outside Japan for a while. It wasn't until we got the PlayStation port where we had our first taste with Final Fantasy 5. Unless you want to play like a ROM, like a Super Nintendo ROM that has an English translation, or get the GBA version of 5. That was originally going to be Final Fantasy Extreme, because they thought that they can create a Final Fantasy game that makes it extremely hard, but they decided against it and kept Final Fantasy 5 exclusive to Japan, while we got Mystic Quest, which was as easy as holding hands. The game itself got a bad rap because it was too easy, and the Japanese devs didn't really think the American players were. They didn't think they were actually able to handle a harder, more difficult RPG. Because when you get down to it, the Super Nintendo version of Final Fantasy 4 is about as easy is just as easy. But Final Fantasy 4, that was like my very first role-playing game I ever played. Excuse me. Just have a little bit of a cough. You know, and these next few days are going to be allergy seasons for a while. Oh yeah, and what's also infamous about this level here, this dungeon here, it also has status traps. So why I stepped on here, because I couldn't see that I didn't have Libra on, is a petrification trap. Basically, if you don't have Sona or Gold Needle, and you don't have any other units left, you're pretty much on a ticket. You're pretty much on a death clock. Because all of the units being petrified also constitutes being the game over. So watch out for that. Definitely bring some Gold Needles if you can help it. Unfortunately, they also happen to have sap traps, which really drains your HP like nothing else. So the best solution for that is if you happen to have remedies, which I don't have a lot of. Actually, I don't think I have any at all at the moment. I know there's a shop where you can buy remedies later. I just don't remember at what point do you buy them. But remedies are your way of getting rid of sap, or if you happen to have an accessory that can that prevents sap, then I definitely recommend you buy some of those. I know you can. forgot what they were called. I'm sorry, it's slipped off the top of my head. There is accessories you can buy that will prevent sap. So if you want to do sap protection that way, then you can do it too. I didn't, unfortunately, so I'm the one who's gonna have to keep dealing with it by constantly healing over and over. Poison's not that big of a deal though, because you should already have something that can remove poison. But back to I guess Final Fantasy IV for a little bit. Yeah, that was my very first role-playing game I ever played. And I remember I used to rent it a lot at like an old video store I lived near before it became a daycare center. And I used to rent out that place a lot. And I was actually introduced to a wide variety of games, both good and bad. I don't remember like all of them off the top of my head, but I do remember being also introduced to Mega Man X over there. I was introduced to Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. Although I never really got far in Link to the Past because I wasn't like that familiar with how to play a Zelda game. But at least you know I didn't really enjoy Zelda until I grew up, and I consider Link to the Past to be one of the very better Zelda games I've played in quite some time. I'll definitely want to do a Link to the Past playthrough for this channel at some point. I should get to a Zelda game. I mean, Breath of the Wild has already done extremely well. I played Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is a great game in and of itself too. There's so much to do there, and you can do it any order you want. I guess then again, that's what makes Breath of the Wild so interesting. It's just so non-linear. That you can approach it any way you want, but there are some areas I think that are just a little harder than normal. So you might want to do certain areas first before going on to the next one. I mean, because in theory, once you get off the first section of Hyrule, you can just take on Calamity Ganon right then and there. But it's not a good idea, unless you want to do a suicide mission. And yeah, because I got into Final Fantasy IV, I decided to check out other role-playing games that I played before, like that caught my interest back then. Like I played and beaten Phantasy Star 3. I played and beaten Phantasy Star 4. I have played and beaten Shining Force for the Sega Genesis. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that game. I did like it. I know it's very old and kind of camp and cheesy, but I did enjoy it for the strategy aspect of it and the fact that you can plan out your team and promote for better stat results and stuff like that. I did like that. And actually, it also got me introduced to Shining Force 2, another game I actually enjoyed that I think is a little better, because I think the options are a little bit more varied, but hey, you know, that and I think SF2 had a better inventory system than Shining Force 1, although when the GBA version came out, that was fixed. Trying to think. And then I think it was afterwards that I'm sorry, I'm just drawing a blank here. But yeah, I guess I could talk more about these dungeons. The Nightmare can also inflict another status, as you were seeing earlier, like poison, and they can also use dark magic. Nothing too threatening about these guys, just, you know, whack away until they're dead. I know I'm not saying much about this dungeon here, but that's just simply because you know, it's a pretty long dungeon. Ooh, Bone Crusher, very nice. Bone Crusher, I guess I can talk about the ability for a second. What Bone Crusher does is it sacrifices a portion of your HP to deal critical damage. It's okay, but I generally don't use Bone Crusher. I mean, I tend to use other abilities a lot more often, like Steel, obviously for looting. Shades of Black because, you know, more often than not, at least based on my luck, I tend to get the high tier spells. I mean, the other problem I have with Final Fantasy XII's abilities for the most part is that their usefulness is very, very limited. Like, for example, First Aid can only just get you out of critical. And I guess it's supposed to be like an emergency heal, but the heal in itself is pretty weak. So it kind of becomes obsolete quite quickly when you realize you can just buy potions and use cure spells to get rid of it. Even if First Aid is free, you can just run around. You can just run around for a few seconds until you have enough MP to cast Cure again. So you can just do it like that. Other abilities like Revive. I know Revive takes up a portion, pretty much sacrifices your HP to revive someone else, but that's why you should have MP for Raise and have enough Phoenix Downs. Again, I can understand if in some cases maybe you run out, like a last aspiration thing, but that's way too situational. At least I find it to be. Anyways, we got some Tyna Rocks. Is that what they're called? Yeah, Tyrannorocks. Yeah, Tyrannorocks are pretty nasty creatures, but they're not the worst of their kind. I mean, they have a lot of HP, though. That's the only thing. They can hit pretty hard, but it's also pretty slow. It takes a while to charge up its attacks. So you could just, beat that one up. And it's not too hard either. It's susceptible to blind, as you saw there. So you can just cast blind, and it's not going to be able to hit you. Yeah, what else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Bone Crusher, I already talked about Bone Crusher. There's also Charm, which inflicts, it does what you suspect it would do. It inflicts the ability, it inflicts the status effect Charm. I guess take it or leave it. Horology, Horology, I believe it's, I think it's a damage based on time. Don't quote me on it. I mean, I haven't really looked at the skills abilities for quite some time. I should probably take a look at that next chance I get. I just don't remember what it is off the top of my head at the moment. I know Traveler is only nice if you can run around like a lot. Traveler is a spell that you can also learn in Final Fantasy VI, where the more steps you take, the more damage you're gonna do. And if you're a cardio freak, Step Mine's gonna hurt. But in Final Fantasy XII's case, every time you use Traveler, it calculates the amount of steps you've taken before you use the spell. So you're better off just using it very, very, very rarely. And to be honest, it's not really worth using at all, so I don't even know why they put it in the game. I guess it's just like a gimmick. I know Numerology does more damage based on the amount of consecutive hits you're able to land. And getting consecutive hits is pretty random, so again, it's kind of unreliable. That's why I don't really use it. Libra is self-explanatory. It just helps you identify enemies' weaknesses in case you don't happen to have a bangle with you, or you don't want to bother using the bangle to go for Auto Libra. I believe some accessories do also grant Auto Libra as well, not just the bangle itself. So I think for the most part, Final Fantasy XII has some pretty limited and two situational abilities to really make use out of any of them. At least Shades of Black, you can just get lucky with it, and it's a free MP, and it's a free cast of Escape and Flare, which otherwise would be expensive as hell. Of course, because what I've been doing nowadays on my time off, while I'm not playing Final Fantasy XII, even though I'll try to get back to it soon, I've recently gotten back into Fire Emblem, particularly Fire Emblem Awakening, and I'm trying to see if if I can get into it. I'm already at chapter 12 as we speak right now. I'm trying to do a pretty tedious thing to where I am trying to pass down abilities to the children based on the parents I'm pairing them up with, so they can benefit from all the abilities they can learn. And that's going to be very tedious to me because that requires me doing a lot of farming, particularly second seals and master seals. But if there's a way to farm for them, I'm definitely going to take the time to do that. But Awakening's a good game so far. I mean, I played a couple other Fire Emblem games before, and I know I wouldn't normally go back to the Game Boy Advance version to kind of go back a bit, but I'll save that for another time when I want to make the time, of course. I mean, that was a game I used to play quite a bit during my emulator days back in high school, and I'm trying to think of what else. Oh yeah, these things right here, Thunderbugs. There's some of the mimics that are at the treasure chest, but they're really not. But if you want to go after them just for the sake of going after some different loot to sell, I guess, then Thunderbugs would be okay. And of course, as the name implies, they absorb lightning, which unfortunately, I was on a bit of autopilot at the time when I was grinding against them. I did not realize that one of the weapons I had was actually lightning element, which is why it took me a little bit longer than normal. So I believe at some point, I think at some point soon, I switched Balthier's weapon. Yeah, you see right there. That's because the Storm Spear. I mean, I'm doing more damage than one of my guys is actually healing him for. But I guess I had a bit of an idiot moment. I was like, wait a second, this guy absorbs lightning. What the hell am I doing? So that's and I guess that's the usefulness of having more than one weapon more than one kind of weapon or more than one weapon type. You can actually switch up your strategy on the fly. Okay, so the other gimmick to this level is that there are certain gates that are going to remain closed while the other one would open. So what you would need to do is flick one switch to open up the other door that will lead to the boss. And we will be getting to the boss fight next video, as this one is basically a half an hour already. Oh man, and we're like almost 23 minutes in. I'm not even done talking about what goes on in this dungeon. Oh boy. Oh yeah, I mean, I guess the Red Maws, they, as you've been seeing already, they can occasionally give you money, as well as loot. So I guess that could be okay. Thankfully, oh man, I'm so tired. I'm just so tired. But also been staying up late too. Not quite good for my health. But I guess it's okay to stay up late once in a while. It's just that I'm particularly not a night owl, and that's because the way I've always grown up. Oh, yes, the jellies, the flan enemies. Like a whole crap of them just drop here. Now, for some reason, I thought taking them on could be a decent idea. And I know they're weak to fire, but the problem is that they have nearly 4,000 HP, so that would take a long while to do so. Number two, it didn't hit me until later that they're just not really worth fighting at the moment. I mean, I tried taking on some of them, but unfortunately, they can also inflict confusion, which is really, really annoying. Thank God that I was able to stock on the new Kai Sands early on, and I think the reason why I stood around for a little while longer because I could have sworn that unless oh yeah, I remember now. That's because Blizzara is now a AoE spell and not Veirra. which makes taking on these guys really, really annoying. Because I would imagine that I would have definitely imagined at that point, if I had an AOE fire spell, I would have been able to clean up these guys no problem. I would have made a lot. I would have gotten like a lot of experience doing so too. Sleep does work on these guys, as you can see here. So I guess the trick here would be to, if you could get the jump on them, try to put them to sleep, and then knock them all out with fire spells. Again, unfortunately, I didn't have the hindsight to switch to the Flame Ton for Bosch. Oh yeah, the other thing too I forgot to show off, but I'll definitely remember to show it off next video, is the Esper. The Fire Esper we got at Wraithwall's Tomb, Bellius. I don't know why I didn't show him off at this point. I thought this would have been a very good time to do so, but unfortunately, I guess, I kind of went autopilot here, and basically just didn't remember that I had them, so I done goofed here. And I also got some pretty crappy luck too, because unfortunately I did not get Skaith or Veirra in this one, where I could have really taken down like a handful of these enemies. I'm going to try to hit them as hard as I can with those motes I have. I do kind of wish there was more motes that can actually, I kind of wish I had more fire motes or something. But at last was not to be. I mean, I was able to take out some of them, I guess. And I could use Warp here, but I also didn't want to risk missing out on whatever potential experience I could get. And I think it's after about another minute of trying, I realized that maybe perhaps it's not quite worth going through all this trouble to burn through all my resources anymore. At least this wasn't the game over like the like that happened on the Leviathan airship with the guards. You know, when the alarm went off and everything. At least I wasn't running into like game over or anything like that. So thankfully I have to cut anything. But then again, I probably should have cut this one out. Oh well. I guess this is just to show you how much of a struggle this is when taking on these bunch of jellies. In fact, come to think of it, I might want to take them on again, but this time at a much higher level. Now at that point, I just said screw it. It's just GTFO. I think it's also around that point too that I decided to simply just run for it, because I think at this point I think I've grinded long enough, and I realized that you know, I need to really get a move on here, because seeing any more of this would have been a waste of time, unfortunately. But I did want to get some last minute grinding in, because I'm just that kind of player. Fight everything that's in my way. Again, I generally don't like to run, but this mod certainly showed me that you should run. Yeah, I think it's not the second instance where running away is honestly the best decision that you can make. Because I guess it's just not worth fighting everything that's going to be in your way. Oh man, but that's okay. Yeah, we're pretty much at the crystal room before. We're pretty much at the crystal before the boss room.
Look at the magicite. These mines much resemble the ones at Lusu. Of course, Draklor must be searching for new sources of ore. Should the resistance forces move, the rich veins of magicite in Bujeba will be forever beyond their grasp.
Is it her? What is this mist? Bien. The stench of fumes. The stench of power. What's wrong with her? Stay away! Power-needy Hume!
And that's all the time we have for today's episode. I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. See you later.